Welcome to Style by Sligza. Today we are having another lifestyle or talking session, and we are going to be talking about feminism. Do you support it? Are you against it? Do you support some parts, or are you totally against it? So let's get into the topic. So feminism on paper, it actually means equal rights for both men and women. Just basically anything equality. Is it access to education, access to job opportunities, access to resources, access to government fundings, those kind of things. It just means equality on a playing field. And the main aim of feminism, according to me, or also according to how it's mostly applied and why it feels like it's benefiting women more than men, even though it means equality, is because women traditionally or historically have not been favored by systems of society. Like, let's say, access, ability to buy land was not actually allowed for the girl child. There's also access to education, which even right now in some tribes it's not really allowed. There's also things like early marriages that were mostly affecting younger women, and also access to job opportunities. The reason why we have some jobs that feel like they're more masculine, for instance, engineering, than when you look at nurses or nursing, which tend to be more of a caring, nurturing kind of job that is better suited for women. So we have an overrepresentation of women in nursing and an overrepresentation of males in engineering. So feminism gets to address those kind of issues, though it is geared towards creating equal opportunities mainly for females. So I'm going to get into the ideas of whether I support it or whether I am against it or whether I totally disagree with everything, and I would love to get your comments on it. So let's go to my first point. Okay, now that we've addressed the concept of feminism, I think it's also important for people to understand, because right now in Kenya we have that feeling of the boy child has been neglected, or the women have been over-empowered and totally forgotten about the boy child, and the boy child is suffering. Well, with all fairness, I do agree with that statement totally. There are aspects of feminism that I agree with, and there are aspects of feminism that I'm totally against with. I still don't think we are all on equal footing, and I also don't believe in the concept that we can ever be equal in everything. I just think men and women were created differently, and we have different strengths, and those strengths will shine in some areas and also suffer in other areas. For example, jobs that will require a lot of physical strength, something like construction, that will require more of the manager will be looking more on the male side because of the physical strength. And also jobs that will require a lot of nurturing, a lot of caring, a lot of empathy, let's say like psychologists or counseling, those kind of things that would require a lot of empathy and emotional maturity in it. It would veer towards that employer looking at the female category or the feminine kind of vibe that goes with femininity. So when I'm addressing these points, I do not think men and women can ever be equal. Though that does not mean that they should not get equal access to opportunities and equal access to things like education, because we all pay our taxes equally. Doesn't discriminate whether you're a man or a woman. So I do think in some aspect feminism works, and in some aspect I feel like it has neglected the boy child. So on to my first point. Why I agree with feminism is it's correcting things that has been done to bring the woman or to make the woman fall behind in various aspects. For instance, you get some scholarships that are targeted towards encouraging the girl child to be educated more. So you'll get full scholarship that may be given to girl child, and some of the requirements would say has to be a female, or you'll get some job areas that would readily hire a female. Even though like the male and the female are both qualified, they would go for the female one because they want to create a gender balance. That creates a bit of controversy because, one, these two people are supposed to be both qualified, and for the job, it's supposed to be the most qualified person, but the gender aspect is the one that is putting the man behind, which is something that is totally out of their control. However, I also look at it on the other side, whereby you would get in most cases that exact company has an over-representation of the males. An over-representation of the males, so the company is trying to regulate that over-representation by having to hire females. And whether you like it or not, or you agree with it or not, that is where the footing comes in. So I don't know how you would think in that case. Should they hire this lady because she's qualified and she's a female? And also, should they not hire a guy even though he's qualified, and mainly not hire him because he is qualified, but he is a male and he's competing with a qualified female? What would be your take there? What would you do if you were the person hiring these two people at the same, for the same position? Yeah. So in that case where you have two candidates, one is male, one is female, both of them are equally qualified. Let's say educational level are qualified, experience level are qualified, but a company is seeking to do a representation of the female bit, or hires this lady just because, not because she's not qualified, but because she has the additional bit of being gender or being the female gender, and also does not hire this man mainly because he is male even though he is qualified. What would you do in that case? Because I'm going through my head and I'm thinking, I don't think there is, to me that's like an ethical dilemma. I don't know what point I would choose, but for me, if the company has an over-representation of the male, I would definitely veer towards hiring a female, because I would like to have that balance. I always feel like it's very, very important to have both genders, especially in the decision making or in the running of a company, because they bring different kind of strengths. Or maybe you have a value or a metric system that would work to make sure that each of these two, that the system can be gender, that the gender of these two people should not matter. So I'd really, really like to hear your thoughts on that. But for me, I would go with the female. I don't know if that is actually a good thing or a bad thing. Make sure you go into the comment section and tell me if you'll hire the male. Why would you hire the male? If you hire the female, why would you go for the female? Yep. So the other aspect of feminism that I tend to not agree with is when it comes to marriage. I feel like, yes, times have changed. Yes, women are now providers. Or yes, we are, sorry? Okay, so the next aspect of feminism that they tend to lose me, or the concept tends to touch me on the wrong side, or I just really, really don't, or it rubs me wrongly, is when it comes to responsibility and marriage. I feel like marriage is a very, very crucial bit that talks about responsibility and also conservativeness. And yes, the African tradition is very, very conservative and also somewhat punitive towards the female counterpart. Now, when it comes to marriage, I tend to feel like, or personally, I gear towards the conservative view, whereby there are some things I feel like as a lady I do expect from a man. I expect him to lead. I do not expect a lot of equality in a marriage. Yes, my voice should be heard, or we should also exchange ideas, but generally I still feel like the man in the marriage should be the one to lead. And leading does not really mean that you should put everything that I say or anything that I say down. It just means you can always consult. We can always talk about issues, but tentatively you should be the one to pretty much gear the family towards a certain direction. I always feel like most successful marriages or most successful families, as much as yes, the woman plays an important role, the man is also a key leader in that. I don't know if you agree with me on this one, but I don't like that dynamic where feminism has created this environment, rightfully so, because some men don't quite take up the responsibility, but taking this view that women should be exactly as on equal footing with the man. I don't really think that can be achieved. I don't even think that is possible. But then again, I'm not married. Maybe I'm just thinking, or I'm looking at what I have seen my family and my friends go through. I would like to know, in a marriage setting, do you think feminism on the concept of equality or equal responsibility. Do you think feminism has a role there, whereby a man and a woman should be equal in the marriage? Or do you tend to think that the conservative nature of a marriage should still prevail, whereby a man is the leader and a lady tends to take the following? Yes, tends to take like a follower vibe. Or am I just very, very traditional and old-fashioned? Make sure you share with me in the comment section. And I'll also continue this thing about equality, or can men and women be equal in marriage for real, in the next series of lifestyle. Okay, so there's one thing I really, really want to emphasize. When you're approaching this topic, remember you have a brother, you may have a male friend, you may have a husband, you may have a boyfriend, and you also have a sister, you have a mother, you have a father. Approach this conversation with a lot of sensitivity and care. Come from a place of good heart, whereby you add to the conversation, not to just insult the other bit because you feel like you've been aggrieved in some way. So I would really, really love to actually gain something from this conversation, and this is one video that I would I'm really open to learning from y'all, from you people. I would love to hear your comments. I would love to get different mindsets, because this is how you learn, and this is how you get to challenge the ideas that I hold. Maybe someone holds an opposite view from what I would ever even think about, but by just you sharing that view, I get access to something that I would have never seen it in that direction. You get? So I would love for you to engage in this topic with a lot of sensitivity. And yes, so we've talked about opportunities, and we've talked about equality in marriage and responsibility in connection to feminism. So with more, we will talk on the comment section, and I will make sure to do a part 2 of this video in the next series. And with that, remember, you are born to fashion this world. Peace out.